Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh, and to be honest with you, one of the hardest things I've ever tried to do with creating YouTube videos is to compare rimfires against one another, because let's face it, some of it's subjective, and environmentals, ammunition, all these things play a massive part in how we test and evaluate rimfires. So I have come up with a test, or a series of tests, and this is going to create a standard for me to give you guys my honest opinion. All right, so some of the interesting particulars that I want to talk about to you guys, and these are going to be the same across the board, is one of the hardest things to figure out for me when creating this test, this standard, is ammunition. So it's not fair if I just pick one lot and shoot every rifle with one lot. It's not feasible if I test hundreds of lots. I can't afford to do that for every rifle we test. So I've narrowed this down, and every rifle will be shot with Ely match, and only the lots of Ely match that I have. So I'll test through those 3 or 4 lots, and whatever shoots the best, that's what the test will be done with. And what better way to kick it off than with the OG CZ 457 MTR. All right, with that out of the way, the ammo for this test is going to be some Ely match 1078 speed. Some things that are not quite so variable with these tests is that we're going to use the same bipod. It's the MDT double pull. We're going to use this same bag, and we're going to use this same optic. This is the Arkin 7-35 Gen 2. This is a scope that just didn't have a permanent home, and it's got plenty of magnification, plenty enough clarity to do what we need to do. So how this test is going to work is, for today especially, we're going to shoot the accuracy stuff first. We're going to come back for the other 2 categories at the end. We'll total everything up. So what are the accuracy standards? Well, I think 50-yard groups are important. A lot of people are going to argue that 100-yard groups are important. Well, the problem is, if I'm testing rifles against rifles, it's extremely hard to control conditions. 100-yard groups are very, very dependent on conditions. So we're not going down that road. We're going to shoot 5 5-shot groups at 50 yards. We're going to take that group average, and I will show you kind of the grading metric. You're going to see that there. Then we're going to go and lean on practical accuracy. I think that is just important as raw accuracy for most shooters. So at 100 yards, we have the KYL, of course. We will have 10 rounds in a magazine, and we will shoot down the KYL. There are 8 targets, so we will get a point value as we go down, and we will shoot our last 2 shots if we've hit everything at the 1/4 inch. If not, we'll just work down as far as we can and get as many points as we can. Lastly, I think a little bit of distance is a contributing factor to buying a rifle or not. So 150 yards, we have a 3-inch square that is 2 MOA. And basically, it's points for each time we hit or don't hit across 10 shots. So we're getting a good spread between 50 yards to 150 yards, some raw accuracy and some practical accuracy. Important to note, I will shoot sighter Fowlers beforehand. So it's not about how dialed in the scope is or the dope is. We will shoot sighter Fowlers at everything. You may not see it, but it's happening. So I will make sure the gun is hitting where I want it to hit at 100 and 150 before we run those tests. Again, there's still gonna be some subjective stuff, right? So the build quality, that's kind of on me. That is my opinion. So your opinion may differ. I am not going to hold back. So some of these are gonna get some low scores, and it's just how I feel. The price, we are not talking about scope. We're not talking about nickel and diming things. We're talking about the base price of the rifle. If there's a barrel upgrade, that gets added on. But the other stuff, triggers, scope bases, those kind of things, they're so subjective and so personal to the end user that it's really not fair, because if you're going to shoot bench rest, you may not even care about half the things that are on the rifle, and that's going to contribute to the overall price. So it's the base price of the rifle plus major upgrades. If we do a stock swap or a barrel swap, those will get added on to the base cost of the rifle, because I think that's fair. All right, enough of that. We're going to shoot just a couple of feeler sighters, warmer Fowlers, to make sure we're in the ballpark. We're going to shoot 5 5-shot groups, and we're going to see how it does. And to be honest with you guys, this isn't a 457 MTR, it's an MTR barrel. This is how this gun comes, besides the little doodads I've added on. This is not a great example of an MTR. I've had MTRs that handily outshot this, but this is fair. This is what I got. This is something, anybody could have bought and got this rifle. So good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is. We're going to see how this particular MTR scores today. All right, so let me shoot a sighter Fowler here and shut my mouth. I'm going to shoot it at the top right corner of that number 1 box. Okay, that was high and left. Let's see if it mellows out. Okay, not really. All right, we do not want to be that high. I am purposely not going to hit the center of the target. That's going to make sense to a lot of people. Makes sense to me. I don't want to chew out my aiming point. We're going to go right a little bit. That's close enough. Let's shoot 5 here. First group at the number 1 target. I like this more than I thought. Okay, that's pretty good. That's first 5. I am going to bring it left a little bit, just for the fact that I want to have this somewhat dialed in for 100 yards. All right, number 2. Okay, that did not move it left. Okay, well, we had a flyer there. That was definitely not me. Wow, this is falling apart quickly. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we just had a horrendous group. But it is what it is on the number 3. And a high one. I have no idea what happened to group number 2, but you know, this is reality. That happens. It apparently kind of likes this ammo, but sometimes doesn't, because group 1 was pretty good. You know, 2, terrible. 3, as expected. 1 kind of out. That's kind of what I've seen out of this barrel. So, all right, group number 4. Okay, so I'm going to come down a couple of clicks because we're hitting the top of my backer. 1 out, not a great group. Last group. All right, not a good showing at all. As far as match, MTR barrels are concerned, this may be the worst one that I've ever tested, but it's what we got today. We will be swapping this barrel with the Lilja directly into this, recomparing with that extra cost. So I'm expecting to see quite a big jump in performance there, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the 100-yard practical accuracy KYL test. So going forward on these tests, this will be a lot more abbreviated, but since it's the first one, I feel like some explanation is due. So I'm going to throw up the metric here again for you guys to look at. 10 shots, same exact ammunition. We will not switch ammunition at all. And yeah, we're going to shoot this like a KYL, hit to move. You have to hit to move. So if I miss, then I miss. I will be shooting a couple cider Fowlers at the plate. You guys are going to see it on camera because this is the first test. After today, probably not. I'm probably going to cut most of that out. So I'm going to shoot a 1/2 mil above the first big target. See where that lands us. Okay, we're high and 2/10 right. So 1, 2, down 1/10. So now I'm going to aim at that impact. Okay. Same thing there. 1 more left, 1 more down. All right, we're going to aim at that top rightmost impact. Okay, in there, a little left. We're going to split the difference. All right, we will make any other corrections needed on the fly. We will have to correct a little bit if wind does change, but we won't be doing anything crazy. 10 shots in the magazine, 100-yard KYL. Make sure our parallax is as good as it can be. And let's see what we can do. Working our way down the line. Okay, look pretty centered up there. Okay, that was bottom edge. We'll give it a little bit of height. Okay, we centered it up. Again, I will make small micro adjustments. Okay, that one stayed where it was, but that's fine. Oh, first miss. Looked like it was just off right. I'm scared to make a correction because this isn't shooting that great. off left. Okay, we're already struggling. There we go. All right. Well, let's see if we can make it all the way down. We won't get the bonus points at the end for sure. Whoa, that was way off left. Holy smokes. That is not wind. And yeah, I corrected there. I think that's it. All right, so we're down 2. I mean, I tried to make a correction. I actually corrected for the left miss, but I think the accuracy of what this is capable of with this ammo is rearing its ugly head at 100 yards. You guys have seen me shoot this before without problems. Again, this barrel for an MTR is not great, but it is what it is. All right, on to the 150 yard test. So you guys are looking at a 3-inch square at 150 yards. This is not a hard target for a good precision rimfire. So it can be a challenging target for a production gun. So for this, we're gonna shoot siders just like we did before, but we're gonna get a point for every hit we get out there. And my expectation is that we hit every single one of these. What this is gonna show is if a rifle is not consistent. So if we're throwing flyers, we're already seeing some at 100. We're gonna see if it gets worse at 150. We're gonna add a bunch of elevation. We would normally be about 4 mils. And I'm gonna shoot to the plate just to the right of that. I'm gonna get a sider on target. Oh, that is way high. You guys might not even seen that. My empty did not come out. Okay. That was way high. All right, let me send another sider. Okay, I think we were right. Let's aim right at that impact. Okay, a little low. Let's send one more, see where we're at. Okay, we're gonna come up a 10th. We're gonna call it there. 10 rounds, those actually were pretty good, but can it hold itself together over the course of 10 rounds at 150 yards? We're gonna find out right now. Okay, and I'm not making adjustments on this unless wind picks up because I want this to be about the rifle. Okay, well, we were low left there. We were not hitting low left before. And now you can see we're back up towards kind of the center of the plate. Okay. Oh no, where in the world did that go? That caught me off guard. Number 10, unless we see it in the video review, did not hit. And I mean, I'm not surprised. The performance of this today has been lackluster at best. I knew this barrel wasn't that great, but groups were decent and it shot, you know, this lot the best by a good margin. So I think what I'm seeing here on accuracy is that this production barrel is just not very consistent. Shoots a really good group, shoots a terrible group, decent group, terrible group. Then when we get out to 100, some of them stack, some of them it throws crazy, and it's something that you guys have probably seen before. So it is what it is. Let's regroup. Let me get the measurements. Let's talk about the last 2 categories and give this thing a final score, 0 to 100 on the Pursuit of Accuracy Rimfire Test. All right, so we have a lot to unpack here. First of all, let's go over the accuracy. You're seeing the numbers here. Overall, the 50-yard raw accuracy groups were not that impressive. We averaged a whopping 0.48 inch group, which is, yeah, not that great since we're basically giving max points for shooting an average of a 1/4 inch group because that is possible, and kind of the worst being 2 MOA. That's gonna land us at 14.7 points out of a possible 20 for raw accuracy. So it's not the worst because we are looking at testing, keep in mind, everything from, you know, factory Ruger 1022s all the way up to precision rifles. So in the big scheme of things, this does play still decently well in comparison to what some others will. When you compare it to super high-end rifles, obviously we're leaving a lot of points on the table. So the 100-yard KYL, we were able to successfully hit 6 to the 8, and I'll throw the metric up here, but that was good enough for 13 points. And then at 150 yards, we did drop 1. So that's 1.5 points off the total of 15, which is another 13.5 points. So as far as accuracy is concerned, you know, we didn't score that high. But then when you look at the MSRP of the rifle, again, we're not counting the scope, the bipod, those kind of things. We're talking MSRP because this is a factory rifle. Then that brings our total up to 57.2 points, and that only leaves one category worth scoring, and that is going to be overall build quality. All right, so first category with a possible of 4 points is the action and the bolt. And the CZ action and bolt are pretty dang good. There are some rare cases where people do break bolt handles, and it is a production gun. It's not going to be as slick as others, but as far as in the big scheme of things, I think this deserves 3 out of 4 points. Trigger with a max score of 4, we're gonna land kind of somewhere in the middle. We're gonna give this 2.5 points because the trigger out of the box is pretty good. It's pretty heavy for a precision rifle, but there are easy ways to adjust it down. So I think, you know, when we gotta look at all the things from like Timney hits, Bix and Annies, all the way down to some of the worst triggers you can imagine, I think this is kind of above average, so we're gonna give it 2.5 points out of 4. So controls and hardware's max of 4, this would have scored higher a year ago before CZ kind of, I think, cheaped out on us. So for right now, this is getting 2 out of 4 because you are getting a plastic kind of lug back here where it used to be metal. Didn't really have many complaints, and this certainly would have got 3 out of 4 before. Is it as nice hardware-wise as some of the super high-end stuff? No, but it's nice for what you're spending. It's good. And again, a year ago, would have been 3 out of 4. The plastic recoil lug kind of rubbed me the wrong way, 2 out of 4 points. So out of a possible 4 points for the stock, everybody knows that I'm a sucker for the MTR stock. I think it is a great stock, and especially considering that it's not a chassis, I'm gonna give this 3 points. And there's a couple reasons why. One, it's not a chassis, it is a stock, but it is a premium stock. It is very, very nice. So this is going to rate higher than probably any other stock on the channel unless it's just exceptionally well done. Points off because there's no rear adjustability. You do have to buy your own kind of cheek riser, and one, it's a stock. So 3 out of 4 points on that, which leads us to overall build quality and feel. When you buy this rifle, you are not disappointed, but it's not gonna be some super high-end chassis. So again, I think just the whole package overall with the blued barrel, the looks of things, the machining quality, all things considered, 3 out of 4 points, which is going to give us our first ever score on the Pursuit of Accuracy Rimfire Test of 70.7. Again, I'm disappointed. I honestly thought this was going to do better, but this is reality, and I think it's better this way because people are buying 457s, MTRs, different varieties, and even though this has a matched barrel, it is a production gun. So what I would like for you guys to do is, one, let me know what you thought of this test. Do you think it's valid? Does it work for you? Is it gonna help you make any kind of buying decision? Because ultimately, this is one, fun. Two, I hope this helps people who are getting in, looking at spending money. But also the other thing I wanna know is, what do you guys want me to test next? I do have a barrel coming for this from Lilja. Again, that will take away points because we are increasing price. So all the other kind of things will stay the same, but we will have obviously new accuracy and we will have less points for that. So if that's something you want to see, let me know. If you want to see full-on custom guns, if you want to see factory 1022s, kit 1022s, let me know. If I got it, we will certainly test it. If I don't have it, I'll try to get it just for the test. And a huge shout out to Saber Tactical. They sponsor us here. They help me buy ammo to do these kind of tests, to get kind of all the odds and ends of test things so that you guys have a better idea before you buy, because I don't get kickbacks from anything on the channel. I make $0 off anything you might or might not buy. But again, big thanks to you guys for supporting, watching the channel. I truly appreciate it. Catch you on the next one.